Good evening, friends, fans, and other people who just happen to find their way on my stream. My name is Catherine Barsonistis, and you're watching the Glutton's Geek Presents Munchies and Minis, a D&D live cooking demonstration and painting demonstration, where I make a recipe inspired by Dungeons & Dragons or any other kind of fantasy table RPG, and then work on painting a mini. I'm currently working on the 52 weeks of D&D challenge. Last week we had the challenge word of orc, so we made what I like to call charred cherry pork skewers. And I tried saying that about 20 times fast. And this week the challenge word is quest. So I am deciding to take that into account of what do you usually go to quest for. So I imagine it's some kind of McGuffin of some kind. So I'm calling this recipe McGuffin Muffins, where I'm going to be making treasure chest shaped stuffed muffins. Stuffed with kind of a little mixture of honey cornflakes that we kind of went over during our map episode. I believe that was Waffle Map for Dungeon. If you want to check that out, check out my YouTube page. I do have the full video in its entirety of the recipe there, or if you want to get the recipe card, you can check out my Patreon, which has all of my Munchies and Minis recipe cards. So, first you might be wondering, especially if you've never heard the term before, a McGuffin is the slang term used for the item that you usually featured in a quest that has such kind of the thing you're going after. I mean, it can be really anything. I mean, for example, let's just say that, goodness. For example, Star Wars, the MacGuffin may have been finding Luke Skywalker. Well, I mean, the most recent episode anyway. Anytime you see some kind of magic sword, or like King Arthur and the Holy Grail. I mean, a MacGuffin is the term coined by Alfred Hitchcock to act as sort of a placeholder for whatever the characters are searching for. So, since we have about 2 hours to do this, and I know it's going to take me about 30 minutes to bake my muffins, I should go ahead and jump right into it. So we're going to be first starting out making loaf-shaped muffins in a 8-well loaf pan. This one's from Wilton. It's super cheap from Amazon, and I've got something in my eye. And we're going to be making kind of a brown sugar basic muffin. And I was going to put spices in it, but then I realized I was rushing to do this, so we're just going to kind of go along with it, and I'm then going to probably update the recipe once I have a chance to write that down. So, if you want to get your notebooks out, this is the time for it. So first, I'm going to need to preheat my oven to 350 degrees. Just going to start that up. Let it sit while I work on my muffin batter. Okay, well, that's good. My husband made me a cocktail as I was running around the kitchen trying to get everything done. So first, we are going to switch to our prep cam, where I have a bowl with about 2 cups of flour in it. So now I just need to blend in my dry ingredients. So that would be about 2½ teaspoons of baking powder, a ½ teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of salt, which I did not have time to measure out earlier, so do bear with me as I do that. So, teaspoon of salt. And now we're going to throw in a few spices. Now, I'm just going to play around a little bit, but don't worry, I will say the measurements I'm going to be putting on there. Actually, let's just go ahead and do allspice and black pepper. It's going to be very similar to a medieval spice blend called poudre fort, which is French for strong powder. Short person woes. Okay. So, strong powder, which is a blend of all sorts of crazy spices like cinnamon, clove, nutmeg, and black pepper. We're going to take the easy route by using ground allspice and black pepper because, one, spices are expensive, and two, allspice has the flavor of about 3 or 4 different spices, all for the price of one. So we're going to use that. Let's see. DM Myers, if you used egg-shaped pan, would they be egg McGuffin muffins? You're really going for that dad joke with a weak title, aren't you, Daniel? I'm sorry, I'm just going to lose it. So, yes, I've thought about it. I think I'm going to do it. It's now going to be a competition on Munchies and Minis for the dad joke of the week, where if you come up with the best dad joke during the stream, you get the recipe card for this recipe I do on the air for free. Currently, Daniel Myers is in the running with his egg McGuffin muffin joke. Let's see if the rest of y'all can do better. And let's see, so okay, got ground allspice. I'm going to do about a teaspoon of that. And about a half teaspoon of black pepper. So I'm just going to toss that in there. Make it spicy. I'm just going to whisk that all together. So it's got uniform flavor, and also so it gets all the ingredients just well coordinated, even though I don't think that's the correct term for it, well mixed. So once I actually do add my wet ingredients, I'm not going to overmix it and just trying to get the dry ingredients to taste right. So there you go, we got our dry ingredients. Now, I'm going to mix up our wet ingredients. So, to the bowl that I have here, first, I'm seriously questioning my life choices, but no, we'll do that there. Just to make it easier to go out of the bowl, I'm going to spray the inside of this bowl with cooking spray. And that does actually remind me of what I need to do with my loaf pan here. Now, when you're getting your little mini loaves out of this tray, you don't want it sticking to your tray, otherwise it's just going to fall apart. You need intact muffins to make this recipe work. So, I'm going to be using Baker's Joy, which is a baking spray. It's kind of a cooking spray that's mixed with just the slightest amount of flour that's going to make it a lot easier for these loaves to come out of the pan. I also highly recommend this stuff for any kind of bundt cake pan you have, because I understand that it's kind of a pain in the butt to grease a bundt cake pan and then flour it and then bake it up, and then you have kind of this weird floury crust on your cake. This stuff keeps you from getting that floury crust and allows it to release easily. So I'm just gonna spray without abandon and then try not to choke on the fumes. Try. We'll see if I succeed. All right. Come on. I'm okay. Might I be overdoing it? Maybe. But as you can see, I am dedicated to getting this recipe to work. I love the smell of fluorocarbons in the morning. Evening. See, the stuff's affecting me already. Right. That requires another round of whatever this cocktail my husband mixed up for me is. It is delicious, though. I think I taste blue curacao, that Mountain Dew? Meh. Oh, wait. Rum? I'm at the point where I can barely tell what that is. All right, so I got my bowl, and I've got my wet stuff. Giggity. So to this bowl, I am going to be adding 2/3 a cup of sour cream. 2 tablespoons of canola oil, which you can use melted. See, is it green? We'll see. Daniel's asking me if my drink is green. I cannot tell because the inside of my cup is in fact teal. So, whatever color liquid this is, and also it doesn't help that my straw is also green. Meh. All right, so 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. You could also use melted butter or canola oil. I'm actually using canola oil here. I mean, if you want to add a little bit more of an interesting flavor to it that might be a little overpowering, it's up to you. You can also use sesame oil, which I like, but that's up to you. So, yes, oil, sour cream, right, 1 egg. And just kind of a note, as you're cracking your egg, don't go on the edge of things. Crack it flat on the surface. It breaks faster and doesn't get eggshell all over the place. So, hands off quickly there. All right, and to that, I'm going to add my brown sugar. And then whisk it like crazy. Right, I need to actually add those notes. So, teaspoon of ground allspice, ½ teaspoon black pepper. All right. So now, just gonna whisk that up to make this as uniform as possible. Okay. Okay. Now, I'm going to remember that I was going to add ½ teaspoon of vanilla extract. That's about it. Kick myself in the head. Whisk that in with a clean whisk because I've already stuck it on the sink. And rinse that off because I'm going to need it later. Okay. Cool. Okay, so now we got our wet mix and our dry mix. And I'm just going to mix that in. Let's see what I'm doing here. I'm just going to try to get this as all the dry mix mixed in to the wet mix here. That is the trouble with using sour cream. It does tend to make a bit of a thicker batter. Just a little bit more, I guess, dough-like than it is batter-like, but trust me, it's going to be delicious. So, come to think of it, since I did use brown sugar, that does tend to be a little drier, so I'm just going to add a splash of water. Just a little bit. Just to add a little bit more moisture to our batter. And for those just joining us, welcome to the Gluttonous Geek Presents Munchies and Minis. This is a D&D and fantasy RPG inspired cooking show and painting demonstration where I first make a snack and then work on painting a mini. Today's episode, I am taking on the 52 weeks of D&D challenge word quest for a recipe I'm calling McGuffin Muffins. So these are going to be muffins that are shaped like treasure chests that are going to be stuffed with honey-coated cornflakes and dried fruit. All right. Okay, so now, since I've got about 8 wells to that loaf pan, just gonna try to smooth that batter out real quick and then divide it into 8 segments. All right, so cut that in half. Just kind of lightly tap indentations in there to kind of get an idea. Cool. So, stay. Okay, out of the way. You can go there. Got my loaf pan here, and my oven is preheated. So, I'm now just going to scoop a portion out and drop it into each well. Come on. And the last one. Okay. And now I just kind of want to grease one of the sides of my spatula. So I'm going to tap that down a little bit to make it fill the space a little bit more evenly. Whew. Okay. By the way, folks, we currently have a Dad Joke of the Week competition going on in the chat. Anyone who, if you want to participate, just drop a dad joke into the chat. If I decide is the best one, I will send you the recipe card for this week's Munchies and Minis for free. That's right, you get the recipe card for this week's Munchies and Minis, which in this case is stuffed McGuffin muffins. These little suckers are going to look like treasure chests, hopefully, when they bake up. Okay, so now that I have those, well, now that I have muffin stuff on my face, now that I got those all in my pan, I'm just going to throw that in the oven and hope for the best. Okay. And set my timer. I'm going to check it after about, you want to bake it for about, I want to say, 24 to 30 minutes. But you, if you have an oven that's not really heated that evenly like mine is, you want to rotate the pan halfway through baking that, like I'm about to do. So, let's see, half of 24 is 12. I'm just going to check it after 12 minutes and rotate that pan so I have all of that baking evenly. Okay, so now while I'm waiting, I'm just gonna do a little bit of cleanup and then start on the treasure stuffing for these treasure chest muffins. Now, if you happen to see my episode 2 of Munchies and Minis, which was, the theme word was map, so I made what I called a dungeon, breakfast map for dungeon, as in waffle maps with 2 different types of topping. One kind of representing forests with forest flavors like blackberry and rosemary, and I want to say honey, I can't remember off the top of my head. But then I had treasure topping, which was honey cornflakes with ham. I'm going to do those honey cornflakes again, but instead of ham, I'm going to be doing a mix of dried fruits and spices. So I've got some dried cranberries here. I'm going to throw in there. Candied ginger. And dried apricots. So that's going to be kind of interspersed between our honeyed cornflakes. But also, while I'm waiting for those muffins to bake, I'm going to need to do a little bit of chopping. So, just do a quick knife demonstration to dice up my dried apricots, whatever, and candied ginger. Let's move it to the prep cam here. Just open it up. Now, for this recipe, I am going to be using about 1/4 cup of each. So, first I'm going to get my measuring cup for that. Quarter cup. And just first do a little bit of measuring on my dried cranberries. On that. Well, we got our candied ginger. So I want to make sure that everything's about the same size. So you're not just chewing on giant hunks of candied ginger as you're trying to eat this, so everything looks like it's, you know, rather uniform sizes of jewels to your gold. So, got my candied ginger here. I got the crystallized kind. This is how to hold a knife properly. For a quick lesson for those who don't know. You first don't hold the knife like this. Take the index finger of your dominant hand, put it behind the blade here right against the handle. Put your thumb there. And then comfortably wrap your fingers around the handle. Okay, so I'm wanting to do these in about, I want to say that's about a 1/2 inch strip to do a 1/2 inch dice. So just like with the strips, I'm wanting to match up about that thickness too to get it uniform. Also, and anyone who's had candied ginger before can tell you this stuff's potent. So another reason why you want your pieces in a uniform size is that you don't want to make yourself cry from getting too large of a piece in one go. I'm also going to be putting cream cheese in these muffins too, to kind of act as a flavor carrier, but also to tone down some of the flavors, make it balance it out just a little bit. Okay. And I think after this piece I should have enough ginger. Okay. Yep, that looks perfect. So I'm going to go in that prep bowl. Show stuff off here. And now for my dried apricot. So, one dropped on the floor. That will not be a sacrifice because there's cat hair on the floor. Okay. Let's do about that much and then see how we do. Everything left will become a sacrifice. Sacrifice to the kitchen god. All right, so once again, I'm doing about 1/2 inch thick strips. So, you know, for these, I mean, most dried apricots are about the same size. So if you just kind of put those into thirds there, and then add about 3 more lines. Now, I'm actually planning on putting this in with the honey cornflakes so it can soak up that honey and butter. Kind of rehydrate just a little bit. Floor apricots. Okay. See, that's about half cut there. Okay. I mean, you don't have to really be exact eyeballing it, really, just kind of. Just as long as you have stuff about roughly the same size, you're golden. And I think after one more, I think I should have enough. Right. Cool. The kitchen god is appeased. Okay, so Those are all chopped up. And now I need to prepare some of my other ingredients. So I'm going to need about a half cup of cream cheese, and I'm going to need it softened. So my whole goal is just to, get it out and let it warm up some. So let's get another prep bowl here. Find another half cup measurement. If I have one. I have one. And give that a spray so it's easier to come out of the cup. I'm going to look at those muffins real quick. They smell pretty good. They're looking good so far, but clearly do have a bit of a ways to go. So, just gonna I think about half the block is about a half a cup, I believe. Just to be sure, though, I am measuring this out. Just because I want to make sure that whatever measurements I have are the measurements you will have as well. So. Okay. All right. Thank you for rating me, Mama's House 1984. Rating. Hi people. Welcome to Munchies and Minis, hosted by the Gluttonous Geek. This is a D&D cooking and painting show where I first make a snack inspired by Dungeons & Dragons or any kind of other fantasy role-playing game, and then work on painting a miniature. Today, I am doing the 52 weeks of D&D Challenge Word of Quest, so I am making treasure chest-shaped McGuffin Muffins. So I currently have my brown sugar muffins in mini loaf pans in the oven right now. I'm going to be filling this with honeyed cornflakes with a mix of dried apricot, candied ginger, and dried cranberries. So it sounds like I've got about a minute left before I have to rotate that pan. First, I'm just going to give myself a sacrifice and find wherever the hell my oven mitts are. Found them. Okay. Gonna rotate that pan. It is rotated. So friends, fun thing about my channel, I do have printable recipe cards available. Wow, that sounds amazing. Why, thank you. I hope it tastes amazing. This is the first time I'm making this up, so we'll see how my mad scientist experiment works in the next half an hour or so. I also have printable recipe cards available on my Ko-Fi and my Patreon if you want to check those out. I'm going to drop those into the chat for a minute. But first, if you like geeky recipes, I run a food blog called The Gluttonous Geek, where I make recipes inspired by television shows, movies, games, role-playing games, books, podcasts, web series. I've done quite a lot of different things already. If you want to check that out, I do have my blog at thegluttonousgeek.com. I am dropping that into the chat, or at least my stream deck. Yes, it finally worked. We'll drop it into the chat if you want to check that out. I currently have Game of Thrones recipes going up this month for my Fandom Foodies recipe link up, #ThronesGiving. It is the final season, just like winter, and why not prepare for winter with a warm feast celebrating direwolves, dragons, and Peter Dinklage. So, pardon me, I currently also have a new thing going on Munchies and Minis, where I'm calling it the Dad Joke of the Week. If you drop in a dad joke into the chat, consider yourself entered. If you win the best dad joke of this episode, I will send you the recipe card for this recipe for free. Normally you would have to pay at a $2 donation on my Ko-Fi or $5 Kitchen Twitch level on my Patreon. So, if you're interested in that, give me your dad jokes. Currently we have DM Myers in the at the top of the running with, if you used an egg-shaped pan, would they be egg McGuffin Muffins? I know, I groaned and probably laughed shamefully for about 2 minutes. But hey, give me your dad jokes because it keeps me on my toes and hopefully not falling over. Right, cheers, time for a drink. Okay, so I've got my cream cheese measured out to go into the filling of my McGuffin muffins. And now I just need to get the butter going. So, prep. And I'm going to need about 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter to get that going. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Just going to set that to the side. And because I have not had dinner yet, I am going to do a bonus round, or bonus recipe, of whatever the heck I can figure to cook up while I wait for muffins to bake. Other than dried apricots, though. I've got dried apricots. Tell you what, I also have a ton of shredded chicken that I had made up earlier. Well, it's more of a, you ever get those rotisserie chickens over at Costco? Well, you can just carve all the rest of the chicken off there, chop it up, and have it ready for other things. So, why not make kind of a apricot chicken salad? So once again, I'm going to chop some more dried apricots up. Now, proper way of holding a knife. Do not hold it like this. You will, the knife will slip and you will chop your fingers off. Don't do that. So, the way to properly hold a knife, you take the index finger of your dominant hand, put it behind the blade right up against the handle like this. Put your thumb there. Wrap your fingers around comfortably, and that ain't going anywhere. So, right, I'm just going to do about some 1/2-inch strips. Dice that up. A bit more. I'm going to do enough for about a sandwich, I think, because I am hungry. But I see that I also have plenty of cream cheese left over. So, whew. So, got a bit of that. Now I'm going to get another bowl. Scoop that in there. Take some of that chicken that I had chopped up. Scoop that into the bowl of my apricots. Take some of that cream cheese that we have left over from the recipe. If I can extract my knife. Yep, there we go. So that's about roughly a tablespoon there. And I think I'm also going to take some white wine vinegar. Just kind of drizzle that in there. Where's my kosher salt? Kosher salt, haha! Salt tagine. Kosher salt. Pinch. And I think I definitely have some fresh herbs that could use some extracting. So, I'm going to take my skizzers of doom. And I see some fresh mint that can be sacrificed. And some fresh dill. And a little bit of Thai basil. So, now that I'm back with those, I'm going to just kind of roughly chop those up. So, I've got my Thai basil here. So, I have one of those, what's it called, Apricot gardens. I don't know if you've seen them on the internet, but they're little herb gardens, kind of hydroponic systems that tell you when to add nutrients and to water them, which is good because my husband and I were really bad at plants. I mean, we're just terrible at them. I mean, I can barely keep a cactus alive, and this stuff works great. So I've got some herb leaves. I'm just gonna roll that up and look guiltily at my husband when he comes by because I didn't actually think to make him something too. Okay. And yeah, just want to roll up those herbs into something that looks like a different kind of herb. Yes, he is looking.
What was that?
Oh, yes. Looking guiltily at you because I decided to make myself dinner and forgot to actually make you enough. Love you. Right. So, gonna shred those up with my chef's knife. Add that to my pile of deliciousness. And I know it doesn't look like much now, but just you see, just you wait. Because then, a microwave. Just gonna stick that in there to warm up about 30 seconds while I get my bread out. Come on. Come on. 1, 2, bread. Toaster. Toast. It's on toast, right? Nope. Now it's on toast. Steamy. Okay. Back to stirring this around a bit. So as you can see, it's cooked some, it's melted some. Probably use just a tad more liquid. So I think I might do just add a teensy bit of butter to that. Yeah, I know, if it doesn't have enough to begin with. Bury that under there. And suddenly regret my poor, delicious, bad decisions. Right, back to the microwave we go. And it sounds like my my muffins are about to be taken out of the oven, but let me check on that really quick just to see how we looking. That could possibly go for just a wee bit longer. I'm just gonna add another 3 minutes onto there. I think my sandwich stuffs is definitely, oh yeah, that is looking good. Okay. All right, now I've got a lot of mush. I probably want to have a little bit of crunch to my salad, to my chicken salad here. But first I'm going to taste it just to make sure I am putting together the right, I'm going to put together the right flavors in the next round. Okay, so it's good, it's very creamy, pretty sweet, but I want to add just a little bit of spice, so I'm going to add some yellow curry powder to that. So figure out where it disappeared to. Yellow curry powder. Where are you? Haha. Curry powder. That and curry powder goes nicely with apricot. So just keep that in mind. So, just going to stir that up. All right. Okay, good. That's pretty good. So I've got my, like I said, I got my spice, I've got a little bit of mush and creaminess, but now I want a little bit more crunch, so I am going to cucumber. That end is dried, so I'm not going to use that. So, just going to slice that cucumber very thinly. Just enough for a sandwich. About 5 slices should be enough. And wrap that back up with plastic wrap so it stays fresh throughout the week. And just do a quick cleanup as I prepare things. That's not where the butter goes, that's where the cucumber goes. All right, and those muffins sound like they are done. So I am just going to pull those out of the oven. Oh, look at those. Excellent. Okay, so, I was going to cool them in the pan, but since they're coming out so easily, I'm just going to go ahead and put them on my cooling rack to cool completely. And I'm going to need to cool it completely to be able to stuff these things. So, I regret my life decisions. Actually, no, that's going to be in the pan. I'm going to just let that cool for about 10 minutes in the pan so I can remove it without accidentally crushing it with my fingers and burning my fingers. So, back to my sandwich. My bread is toasted. Cool. And now, just going to make a little bed of cucumbers. Even as I can. And then, spoon this tastiness onto there. Oh, come to think of it, I think I might actually have enough for 2 sandwiches. So I'm going to be a good wife and make that his sandwich. Because I love my husband. And he's also one of the biggest reasons why I'm able to do all this streaming stuff. He researched the crap out of the stuff I'd researched. And got me a stream deck for Christmas. So this is a lot easier to do with cooking. Babe. Carter. Honey bear. Love of my life. Hello. Hi.
Hey.
Have a sandwich.
Thank you.
You're welcome. See, I'm kind of a good person. Right, so in that case, I need to toast up more bread. Which is good. Because it gives me something else to do while I wait for my muffins to... Oh, there's bread right there. My brain works. Bread. Okay, so while that toasts, I can actually, I think, start on my stuffing. So, toasting. Trivet. Where's my trivets? Trivet. Aha, trivet. Okay. I promise I don't normally fling things about my kitchen like this. I mean, normally it's just more of a tossing like a boomerang. Or is that also flinging? That's also flinging. You can tell I'm an English major, right? Right? Okay, so, butter. And whereupon she realizes that she had cut the butter that she had used for her recipe to put it in her husband's dinner. Right, more butter. Butter. Okay, so, not gonna drop it anytime soon. So, right, so for this honey cornflake topping, I'm going to need 6 tablespoons of honey, a cup of cornflakes, 1/4 cup of diced dried apricots, 1/4 cup of diced candied ginger, there you can see it, and 1/4 cup of dried cranberries. Just gonna stack those up on top of each other to take behind me to my stovetop. All right, and you're also gonna need 4 tablespoons of butter. So let's go to my stove cam. Right now you see a stovetop. There is nothing on it. But wait, a thing approaches. A thing of beauty. A thing that is accused of calling its brethren by its color. It is a pot. Okay, so just gotta turn the heat up, get my vent on because it is getting warm in my kitchen. I know with all the crazy wintry weather we've been having lately that it's kind of hard to believe that it's now 70-some degrees. But it's now 70-some degrees. So, it's warm. So, while I'm waiting for that butter to melt, because that takes some time, gotta carve up some cucumbers again. Because a hangry cook is not a happy cook. So, slice those up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Alrighty. Gonna get my plate. And this is gonna be tasty. Alright, how's my butter doing? Let's check on that stove. It is not completely melted yet. Melt. Introducing Melt Man with the power to melt. So how many 90s kids were in the audience and actually remember that? I think I just let my dork flag fly there. Which, you know, should be expected on a show called The Gluttonous Geek. Ooh, drink. Okay, a big thing about cooking is being able to tell by sound, also, when stuff is ready. I predict that the butter will be mostly melted. I was kind of wrong, but that's okay. Just gotta keep melting that. Melt, melt, melt. Let it melt while I make the sandwich. And 1, 2, 3, 4. I counted wrong. I don't know how to count anymore. Oh God. It's been a long week. Can you tell? Anyway. Stuff on my sandwich. It's gonna be delicious. I promise myself. Otherwise, I'm gonna disappoint myself. Okay. And sandwich. Stay. Right, back to the stove. Our butter is melted, I believe. Yes, it is. So that means I can now add my honey. Whisk that in. Get it all melty and uniform. And I'm also going to add, not the shoe that fell off my foot, no. I'm going to add a pinch of kosher salt, because salt helps enhance flavors. So yeah, that is melted, that is mixed, and it's also foaming. Now when it gets to this foaming part, that is when you want to turn your heat off. Then I'm going to first put in my fruits. Kind of soak that in just a wee bit. And find a spatula. Stir that around just a little bit. And then I'm going to add my cornflakes. And stir that all to coat and soak up. That is actually very good timing because that means my muffins are still kind of cool enough to remove from the pan. So, that's the sound of that timer. So yeah, now that I have coated my cornflakes in this honey mixture, I'm just gonna let that sit and turn off my vet hood so I'm no longer yelling off of that. And while I'm doing that, just gonna move some stuff over to my prep cam here. So, you can see these muffins so far. These are definitely cooled, but I just want to make sure that the others are cooled. Really, I'm only gonna need to demonstrate this with probably 2, so we are making great time. So, here we go. Our treasure chests. Cool. So now that we've got that, and I know at least 2 of them are cool enough. That one is particularly cool, so I'm just going to move that out of the way for now. See you there. Okay. Now I'm just going to need a serrated bread knife. So, for those who are not sure what those are, these suckers. Okay. And now I just want to carefully, and I mean carefully because muffins are crumbly, yo. Just carefully slice the top off my muffin. Now as you see, that can kind of AWOL, but that's okay. We will fix it. We have the power. Stay. That was my plan, just telling it to stay. Okay, so now I'm just going to take a spoon and just kind of carefully dig out a trench. And you want to stay about a ½ inch away from the wall of your muffin. Make a trench in there. And now we got my cream cheese. You want to put about a tablespoon of cream cheese into that depression. So it's easy to get out. I'm going to spray this with cooking spray and lump in a tablespoon. Because this is not only going to act as a flavor carrier, but it's also going to help make your stuffing stick. So I'm just going to add just a wee bit of cream cheese here to see if I can get that edge to stick. It probably won't, but you know, can't be blamed for trying. Haha. Right. Okay. So I'm just going to set that to the side for now as I work on my other muffins. But first, I am hungry, and a hungry chef is not really a happy chef, so. May that bite of sandwich hold me over to the next muffin. And the drink of whatever rum concoction my husband made up for me. Okay, now to select my next coolest muffin. Okay, that one came off a little easier. So, once again, with the spoon, cutting a trench in there. Add a tablespoon of cream cheese, settle in there. Spread that out some, gently. Okay. And repeat. Finding the coolest muffin I can find. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Come back here. Told you to move. Okay. Cream cheese. And see. I am now kicking myself because I was going to get a serving plate. Well, that's okay, because I don't need it to show you what I'm doing. So, got our cornflake mix here. Just like I did earlier with the dough, I'm just going to kind of divvy that up into 8 parts as best as I can. And then spoon 1/8 of my cornflake mix into my muffin. Well, now, just going to perch that on top so it looks like a treasure chest. Just, repeat. So I'm getting more of the jewels on the outside of that one, well, on the other side of that one, so I will keep that in mind. As I then come on. Once again, perch that on top. So there you go. And the last one here. With our, get back in there. Making me look bad in front of my audience. Yeah. All right. Come on. And there you go. So, McGuffin Muffins. And man, I just tasted that treasure filling and it tastes amazing. Just going to try a little bit of extra on this muffin bit. Scoop that on there and hopefully not burn my tongue. You guys. That's amazing. The ginger plays incredibly well with the candy ginger in the stuffing, works incredibly well with the ground allspice in the muffin. And that hint of black pepper just kind of comes out just a little to just kind of sharpen it up some. It's super good. I'm happy with how that turned out. And we've got about 50 minutes left in our stream, so that means since I showed you what I'm doing with McGuffin Muffins, it's time to switch to painting. Now, last week, for the orc theme of Munchies and Minis, I did start painting an orc. We ended up naming him Bubbles because, there aren't just enough happy, super positive orcs that you see in D&D lore. So we named him Bubbles, and he's going to be colorful. He's going to be a very colorful character. And do bear with me as I kind of switch around my whole setup and my sandwich. So, just going to switch that to my tripod cam really quick. Now, I did originally do a countdown screen, but I am paranoid. I've been having tech issues with this stream since I started, between equipment not working. In fact, I started streaming a couple minutes later than I was wanting to today, because for some strange reason, my stovetop cam was not registering when I was running it. Just showing a black screen for some reason. So I am paranoid about whether or not this is going to work. So I think I've got my angle right here. That should work. Got my sandwich. Got a giant mess on the countertop. It's okay. I'll handle that after the stream. And now my stream deck. Whew. And sitting on my sound pack. Regretting my life choices. Okay, that's a good frame. Let's see how we're doing on our paint station. That is looking, for the most part, decent. Oh yeah, that's good light. So we'll just keep it on that. So I got my water. Got my sandwich. Don't have my dignity. But what else is new? Okay. So, there we are. There's Bubbles. Oh right, I know what I'm missing. I'm missing my drink. It's the important things. Right. Okay. So, there is Bubbles. I can't remember what title I gave him. I'll probably have to rewatch my episode to figure out the title. Last month we had a bugbear sorceress. Called her, what was it? Oh right, Glurghilda the Glorious. This is Bubbles. So, I've got a main coat on him right now. It's just a bit of green. I wanted to do a little bit of deerskin leather on him, so that's why I currently have a Rakarth Flesh background on there at the moment. I might add a few more colors on some of these things, but I do know that I want to use this paint here, which is Turbo Dork's Bubblegum Crisis. This is a color shift paint. I've only used it once, but I don't think I did it right to get the color shift properly. It did say to get the most vibrant results to put it on a black base, so I'm going to try doing that with Bubbles' hair. And, I mean, it'd be really great if I can figure out how to make those skulls look tie-dye. Or I could make the leather look tie-dye, or the fur. Let's give him rainbow fur trim, because that will make me happy. Yes, that will definitely make me happy. And, goodness, just making sure I'm picking out my colors correctly here. And that little flap right there, I think I've got some other colors that can work for that. Let's go with red for that. And though it's still probably a little early to do that. I think I'm actually going to want to get some... do a little bit of dry brushing there. So, let's actually start out with his skin. I believe that I used Castellan Green for his skin earlier. Now I just want to lighten that up some to highlight his rippling muscles. Okay. So, first get a fair amount of green here on my palette. That should probably do it. Mrs. Lefty is posting a dog that's howling. Hi, dog that's howling. You shall be Bubbles' sidekick. Gus. And then I want quite a bit of white here. Okay. That is definitely looking pale enough, I think. Are you smaller brush? Haha. Just use you to do a bit of dry brushing here. So. Highlight those rippling muscles there. By the way, I keep forgetting to tell people this, but at the end of each month, I host a monthly mini giveaway on my Patreon community at the Kitchen Twitch level or higher. Not only will you receive all of my Munchies and Minis printable recipe cards, you will also get an entry into the monthly mini giveaway. There is currently one person on the Kitchen Twitch level, so I would say your odds are pretty good at the moment. So if you would like to have Bubbles, the exuberant party orc, come live with you, consider joining my Patreon community, which I am about to drop into the chat. Bam. Right there. Also, I currently have a dad joke of the week contest going. If you make the best dad joke in the chat during this episode, you will receive this week's recipe card without having to donate. Ooh. So send your best dad jokes. Make me laugh. Because we can all use laughter. Okay. Definitely getting Bubbles' rippling muscles there. Just highlighting them up rather nicely. Also, you notice I am going quite pale for this. It's because I'm going to throw on some shade later on. And considering that my shades kind of go all over the place, for one, but they also tend to make whatever I put on it, well, it on rather dark, so I want to go lighter to not just make Mr. Bubbles here too cast in shadows. Okay, so got my highlights there. Now I want to put in a little bit of fill color in some of these spots. Like, I'm gonna need to touch up his helmet there because I accidentally got some green on there last time. And I also noticed that he has metal plates on his feet too, so I'm gonna want to put black on there to fill that in. But first, another bite of sandwich. It's actually better if you let it sit for a little while before taking a bite. All right. Got a drink. Okay. Right. I think I'm going to use some Bugman's Glow. Do I need the light there, or is it good enough? Yeah, I think that actually washes it out, so I'm going to leave that off. A little bit of Bugman's Glow to add. Bugman's Glow. Ooh, Bugman's Glow. That sounds like something entirely different. All right. But yeah, to add some shadows to his leather, just going to do a bit of dry brushing. I want to get some of the palette first. It's driving me crazy. Okay. Let's see how you do. And you notice I'm actually going into the depressions to shade these in. Now the fun thing, I mean the reason why I think I like painting minis more than painting other things is that I already have the guidelines set up for me because they're in 3D form. And I don't necessarily have to worry about whether or not I cover up my guidelines, because as you can see, as I'm covering these lines up, I'm also having it guide, these 3D parts guide my paintbrush. I mean, the biggest thing you have to remember when painting in general is just highlights and shadows. The base color is only a canvas. You really have to create the three-dimensional image. The beauty of minis is that it's already created for you. The only real downside is because they are so incredibly small, is it doesn't take much to kind of mess up your work some. That, and also the nice thing about the fact that it's 3D to begin with is that even if you do mess up, you just cover it up. I mean, sure, yeah, it might take a little bit more work, but it's just cover up your mistake with just another coat of paint. Okay. Sometimes you're not really having the best of, most agile of days. I mean, I remember I took oil painting classes when I was a teenager. And the giant, I mean, the canvas was just kind of, it was kind of intimidating, to be honest with you. Then I would be so afraid of, I mean, I would draw down a base. I still have a canvas I drew when I was a teenager of this dryad that, I tell you, the guidelines are still there. I haven't touched it with paint. And a lot of it's just the anxiety of messing it up. And to give you an idea, I'm 32, so that was a long time ago, but I think it's still at my parents' house, to be honest with you. Alright, I'm just gonna paint in the bottom section of that with Bugman's Glue real quick. Okay. Alright, I think I've got my shadows on there nicely. I'll probably have to go back in there with a little Ricard Flesh to get my highlights back. But that's okay. Because now I am going to I think I'm going to start working with my layer paint. So I'm just going to get that out real quick. That's my base. Now I just need my white scar and a detail brush. Though actually, come to think of it, let me just do that little touch up on the black there really quick. There we go. Hoping, is the camera focusing enough for you guys to be able to see this? I do worry about that a little bit. And I can always move the camera a little closer if you're having trouble. Let's see. It's a little blurry. Okay. Maybe if I bring the camera down just a wee bit. Fortunately, I don't think the autofocus on this particular brand of camera is that... Well, I guess you get what you pay for. Okay. Guess just touching up the black parts of this. As best as I can. And adding on that plating onto his shoes. It's kind of weird how this mini is built, though, because it looks like his foot actually disappears into the terrain. Where is his foot? I'm not sure it's there. It's a really tiny foot. Yeah, I think his foot is actually sunk into the terrain. Huh. Okay, then. I guess I won't be putting that on the other foot. But I do notice there's a tiny bit of chainmail I need to grab. Right in there. Come back here, Mr. Chainmail. Let me paint you. I'll paint you like one of my French orcs. Okay. Just a tiny bit more. Tiny bit more and we can go on to better things. Where'd you go, my lovely? Ha ha ha. I have found you. Okay. There we are. Stay. Alright, switching colors, eating a bite of sandwich, you know how the deal is. Come on. Right. Let's see. Does the extra light help at all, keeping it not being blurry, or was it better without it? I've got a very tiny preview screen, so it's kind of hard for me to tell. No, yeah, it does still kind of look a bit blurry. Okay. So, now I'm done with my little paint touch-up, black touch-up. Yep, better without it. I think so too. I am going to stay. Who gave you permission to fly across my table? I didn't. Okay. I'm just going to clear just a little bit more space there. And go in with my detail brush and do a wee bit of layering. It's my White Scar Citadel layer paint. Okay, so some of the things that I want layers. That would be the skulls here. The trim on his leather. Get a little bit of that extra layer paint off of there so it doesn't seal in. My skull's teeth. I think that is actually a belt buckle rather than a skull, so I'm just going to leave that alone. And get that last bit of fur trim on the back. And is that, no, still have some trim here. Okay. Right, and I need to give him some eyes. So I'm going to do that. I'm probably going to regret that. Okay, so we got our layers on. And as I wait for that to dry, I'm going to put on some of my other colors. First, I want to get that, I think I might do a blue bit of fabric there instead of red. I like blue. All right. Just a wee bit of blue there. That is a very dark blue. Come on, close. And I've been wanting to use that color shift paint since I got it, so let's try it out. Add another little well, a little paint to my well. Okay. Now let's see how this Turbo Geek stuff works. I am curious. Seeing any total change at the moment. Right now it just looks purple on top of the black. Okay, well, I guess we'll see how it does when it dries, maybe after another coat. But in the meantime, I think I'm just going to switch brushes here and move to my armor. So, just going to get some lead belcher out. Add it to my palette so I don't have to keep refreshing, like every 5 minutes. Well, every minute or so. And I'm just gonna try to dry brush it on there as best as I can. And as you see, that black base has caught all of my detail in there when I dry brush the armor on top of it. That is without any shades whatsoever at the moment. Like I said, a lot of this is just being able to figure out your highlights and shadows. Okay, that is looking excellent so far. I just need to get his foot. And you notice I'm not painting the whole thing, I'm just trying to get the edges to properly highlight them. Okay, that color shift paint's looking interesting so far, but let's see how it does another round. See if it picks up a little more. Okay. Okay. You know what? I'm curious. I think I'm going to make those skulls pink. Try out that color shift paint on them. So, I mean, this is a happy orc. He's going to make his colors look, his skulls on his belt look fabulous. And that might mean dyeing him in the blood of fairies. Because fairies are sparkly, and he likes sparkly things. Okay. Skulls are now pink. Okay. Looking good so far. Okay, and I said I was going to do rainbow fur trim. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do some rainbow fur trim. At least to the best of my ability. But first a drink. And another bite of sandwich. All right. So, we want some a little more intense colors. Let's go with Mephisto Red, Averland Sunset. Hi, Ginger. Here. Okay, so switching to the tripod. This is Ginger. She's my baby princess. Would you believe this cat's about 19 years old? But, yeah, she just wanted to come up and say hi. No, princess. She's feeling very left out that mommy's talking, and she's not getting attention. Yeah, you're my baby girl. Yes. Yep, she's my kitty girl. But, yep, my little baby princess with her little boob spot. Are you happy? Be happier if Daddy was holding you? Hey, babe? I have a Ginger. Do you want to hold the princess? Yes, she is a princess. Yeah, she's my baby girl. Okay. Okay. Oh, sneeze, Des. Oh. Little sneezy princess. Yep, there she is. No. Okay, okay, baby. Don't have to make her uncomfortable there. Okay. Right. Back to Bubbles the orc. I really am tempted to set up a camera on over Ginger's bed down there. The cat cam. Okay, right. So, first, let's get our little dots of red in. Just going to do this a color at a time so things can dry properly. So, but yeah, like I said, Ginger is about 19 years old. She was the neighborhood cat back at my husband and I's last apartment. And we kind of just fell in love with her. I mean, we knew she had belonged to someone who lived down the complex from us. We didn't realize until the day we took her in, was that they had moved and left her because they were moving to a space where they couldn't have a cat. And the thing is, we originally thought that she was a stray until I met her owner one day and found out that she was about 14 years old. Wouldn't believe it because she's got a little kitten's face. But I will admit that we were kind of conspiring to steal her away when we moved. Though, my landlady, well, actually no, one evening, it was very cold out. She followed my husband home. Started meowing like crazy.
Ginger, not the landlady.
Not the landlady, the Ginger, the kitty, was meowing like crazy. Was following my husband home. It was really cold out. And we thought that, you know, maybe they had gone to bed and left her out. My husband knocked at their door, no response. And then, about a few days later, I see my landlady coming in. She said, you know that little Ginger kitty that you were asking about? Well, their owners moved away about a week ago and just left a bag of cat food on my doorstep. So that's when I was on the phone with my husband going, you want another cat? And he said, Ginger? Yep. Yeah. And that was how we got our little kitty girl. I have two other cats, Moosey and Schrodinger. Both are probably sleeping in the bed upstairs. But, yeah. And Ginger actually wasn't her name when we met her. But it was the name we'd come up with her. When we first met her, we thought she was a stray, and we kept on thinking of her as that little Ginger cat. On separate occasions until we started talking about it. I'm like, you know, that little Ginger cat. I'm going, you call her that Ginger cat? I call her that Ginger cat. Actually, her first name was Belle. That name changed. The way I see it is that if you're going to abandon your animal It trusts you. You don't deserve to have it keep the name that you picked for it. So, she's now our princess, and she adores ham and cheese, and will ask for it by name. Like, have you ever seen the movie Ponyo? And Ponyo, well, the dub version. And Ponyo tries out ham ramen for the first time. Ham! That's how she sounds. Like, she will throw a tantrum if I am cooking, especially if I'm cooking something with bacon in it, and I don't give her some kind of scrap. I mean, I swear she's trying to trip me up in the kitchen, so I'll drop something. But, okay, so I got my red on there. Oh boy. Now it's time for the orange. Or rather, the yellow. Just gonna drop. There. I mean, as you see, this is all pretty close together, so it's all gonna kind of blend into each other as I add color to it. As you can tell, I'm kind of a crazy cat lady. Okay. All right. So, green is next. Where is my green? I guess we can use that one. Actually, let's use, it's enamel. Trouble with enamel paints is they tend to go on rather thick. Wipe out all the detail that you are using, that you have. Okay. Now from the blue. Do I have any other blue? Is that just it? Nope, that's it. Wait, what's this? No, that's way too thin of a paint. Blue. And that is looking very rainbow-esque right now. He is looking very fabulous. Very colorful. So, now I have some of my basic colors down. We are actually reaching the end of our stream. So I'm going to give this a week to kind of muddle in my head. And I'll be adding more detail next week on Munchies and Minis. Thank you so much for joining me today for the Gluttonous Geek Presents Munchies and Minis, Episode 6, McGuffin Muffins. I will have the recipe card up on Patreon and Ko-Fi as of tomorrow, where you can get this week's Munchies and Minis recipe card, as well as this week's blog post recipe card, which is Game of Thrones themed Stark Sisters Stew, which is a pumpkin and smoked oyster chowder. You can get that this week for a $2 donation to my Ko-Fi, which I will drop the link into the chat. Or if you would like access to all of my Munchies and Minis episode recipe cards, I will be posting all the episodes on YouTube, but the recipe cards are available on my Patreon at the Kitchen Twitch level and above. And if you join at Kitchen Twitch level or above, you will get an entry into my monthly mini giveaway, of which there's currently, I believe, one Patreon at the moment, in that tier, so the competition is pretty low at the moment. So if you would like to win Mr. Bubbles the Orc, then if you just sign up for my Patreon. I just dropped that in the chat, so if you want to check that out, there's that. In the meantime, please do check in with us next week. We're in the 52 weeks of D&D challenge. Word is chaotic, which I will be actually doing a little bit of a mix of not only Dungeons and Dragons, but also Munchkin, as in Munchkin Crazy Cooks, which, yes, it is an expansion of Munchkin. I will be making Beets and Sweets pizza. Yes, I know it sounds gross, but I will make it work and it will be delicious. So, if you would like to join me that next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time, join me for next time. And I believe that since we currently only have one contender in the Dad Joke of the Week, Mr. D.M. Myers wins Dad Joke of the Week for referring to egg McGuffin Muffins. So, yes, you will be receiving the PDF recipe card for this week. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Catherine Barsonistis, and you are watching the Gluttonous Geek Presents Munchies and Minis. Have a great night.